Right, we have another video, and this one is about surrender. Okay, so this one is actually interesting. I think because especially with people who have big egos, like I used to, it's really difficult to surrender. You know that you think of armies and fighting, and you think of the word surrender, and you think weakness. You know, and so the thing with surrender is that I really found this from Eckhart Tolle when he talked in his book, Practicing Mindfulness, I think, Practicing the Power of Now, that's it. And he speaks about surrender and how by surrendering our egos, surrendering ourselves to just the way that life is, right? Like being born into this world, we surrender our fear and anxieties to being in the present moment as opposed to worrying about the future or the past. And this one is really interesting because I catch myself having to surrender to just the way things are. You know, I'm working very hard and I'm really wanting to just collapse and not continue on. And then I think, this is, this is what I have to surrender to. This is how I've been brought into this world. This is how the world is, and how we're going to make change is through surrendering to the way that we have to move in the way we have to move forward in the present moment. So it's not just fighting against all the pains that we have and causing internal conflict. It's understanding that we are within life, and letting life happen to us in a way of surrender is a form of freedom where we can actually move in the direction we want to, as opposed to pushing against the grain. There's a balance to this, okay? Because there is a saying from Tony Robbins where, rather than following the crowd and going down this sort of wave, as he calls it, Niagara Falls, where everyone sort of goes down this sort of area where life is pulling them without actually going a certain direction, as opposed to letting life happen to you. Now, there's this key difference. The waves that are pushing us, that is the surrendering. We surrender to the water, to the actual elements beneath us. That is what it is. But the going against the waves and not actually just getting taken by them, but actually directing ourselves on the waves. That's this connection between the Tony Robbins quote and the Eckhart Tolle quote, where rather than being taken and surrendering to the push of life, we are surrendering to the elements beneath us. You know, the ground that we walk on, the waves that actually take time forward. But we're actually rowing to the direction we want to go with those waves, with the ground that we walk on, understanding that, gravity is just how it is. It's an interesting part of of surrendering to the way that life really is, but then also taking providence and control of our direction and purpose, as opposed to, let's say, allowing the weeds to dictate our dopamine receptors and actually sort of fiending for things that we don't actually necessarily need. You know, it's not so much surrendering to alcoholism or anything which is an addiction as much, but surrendering to the way that we are, the being that we are in, the time frame that we are in. I believe that I should have been alive before 98, but that's just how it is. And though I'm listening to the 90s, 80s, 90s music all the time, that's just how I am right now in the 2020s. So yeah, we are just how we are, and we continue to improve and just build on what we've already got and become the greatest humans that we can be. So yeah, one love, keep improving and keep being bosses. Come on.